All right, and welcome back to Tweet Trends. Today is the third day into Black History Month, so I hope you all are getting whatever it is that you've got planned to do, or if you had many plans, go ahead and start making some plans. The other cool thing about today is that it is National Women Physicians Day, and I have a friend and sorority sister here with me today. She's an awesome physician, and I couldn't think of anybody else that I would have on today's show. So this is Dr. Pam Middleton. Hey, Dr. Pam.
Hey, Vet.
How's everything going?
Going good.
Good. So with today being National Physicians Day, I often think about doctors and the things that you all do. And first and foremost, y'all are amazing. Some of the things that you put up with and that you see, I can only imagine. Now, what made you want to become a physician?
You know, my recollection is that, I just wanted to help people and then I like kids. So I decided to go into pediatrics. But interestingly enough, when I graduated from medical school, one of my aunts who came to my graduation said to me, "You always said you wanted to be a children's doctor." I was like, I don't remember saying that from childhood. I remember like wanting to be some other thing. So I'm like, did somebody plant that in my head or something? Did you do it? Look at her like, really? So I don't know if that thought was planted in my head or I came up with it myself.
So now, were there any other physicians in your family?
No, there weren't. There were actually a lot of school teachers because I remember that at first I wanted to be a school teacher. That's why I was like, I wanted to be a teacher like everybody
Like
else. And then they kind of talked me out of it. But what I say now is I'm still a teacher because a physician is a teacher.
Now, I want to go back. You mentioned when you graduated, were
Mhm.
there many females in your class? Because you always hear that it seems like there's a lack of, or maybe it's minority females that there's a
Right.
lack of in the medical field.
So yeah, there's a lack of overall for doctors. There's a lack of minority physicians. However, I'm trying to think, in my medical school class, we may have had we may have had more females than males,
Oh,
come to think of it. We may, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it just, and it just seems like there were a lot of us. And interestingly enough, too, I look at those numbers about, how many African American physicians there are, how many females, and it's such a small number. But, especially because of Facebook, a lot of us are in groups together. So it seems like there's a lot of us.
right.
We know each other. We're all in these groups, but it's like, but that's it. It's just us in this whole sea of other people. And so it gets a little bit distorted in my mind sometimes, like, oh yeah, there is just a really small percentage of us. But it seems like there's a lot of us because we all kind of get together now,
Right.
which has been and so in that aspect, I think Facebook has been a big plus because, prior to Facebook, we were all out there kind of on our own.
Hmm.
And now it's nice to have someone else who can share, similar experiences, especially
Right.
experiences that may be based on race and gender. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine that too. Are there any things about being a doctor that you found hard, but like to get over, or um
Well, honestly, I think the hardest thing about being a doctor has been recent for me, like with COVID, because what has happened is that, I'm trying to educate the public. I'm saying one thing, and the narrative that I'm giving is not what people want to hear.
yeah.
And this has been going on for so long that, it's like I'm getting pushback. Even, at work, I get pushback from parents now who don't want their kids tested for COVID. I mean, we have a policy at my clinic where if your child has symptoms consistent with COVID, before you can come in the building, they need to be tested. And, we have parents whose kids have symptoms. I mean, they're bringing them to the doctor and they will
Right.
say, oh, I know my child doesn't have COVID, so I don't want them tested. And I'm just like, okay, really? And honestly, 2 years later, I am over it. Okay. And then the other thing that's been happening is that, like, I get out there, I've been trying to educate the public for years, and I've been on social media doing things, and a lot of my colleagues have been doing so also. So when COVID came out, we were like, okay, we'll just continue to educate people. And then all of a sudden you have these non-physicians who are saying things that are not correct, and everybody's following them and listening to what they have to say.
Right.
And so that's been difficult. And then the other difficult part is that, we're working our behinds off here. And, you got people saying all kinds of negative things about doctors. It's like, really?
Right.
Well, why don't we all just quit and see what y'all gonna do?
See what's gonna happen.
So it's like, we've always had, people who said things, but I think now it's just hard because it feels like it's coming from all ends. And, we understand that everybody's tired of COVID. We're tired of COVID too, but just because we're tired of COVID, we're not going to let you just say things that are totally incorrect.
Right.
I'll let you be out here wilding out when this disease is not over. Right. And no, you cannot just be out there pretending that it's over. I mean, and I mean, honestly, what I've started to do is to try to protect my sanity when I'm not at work. I really don't say a lot anymore. I hear people saying they're going to do some things that I'm like, that's probably not a good idea. But so that is my most recent thing that has been difficult about being a physician, just in this COVID era. It's
right. Wow. It's not surprising. Here in Virginia, our governor was a physician, the previous governor. We have a new one that came into power maybe 2 weeks ago. And one of the first things that he did was to take back all of the things that our physician governor said. And one of the things was getting rid of mandatory face masks for teachers and students in schools. And it's crazy because I don't understand why so many people can't get the hint. Like, after all the people that have died and all the trouble and we still don't know what further down the line, people who got COVID, what that may do to them, or how we're going to see it show up again. I just don't get it. I'm struggling with that. And the fact that you guys go and you're around the people with COVID and, you are trying to take care of them, that's just mind-boggling to me, that they don't even care enough to protect you and say, okay, I understand. Let me give my child the test to see, because then that could tell you what to do next. Well,
it's crazy. Or you don't care about other people's kids. Because, I had to say something to a parent the other day. I'm like, look, I have to protect the other patients who are coming into this clinic. So I cannot allow your child to come into the building with symptoms without being tested first. And honestly, Vet, I think that the whole COVID thing, it started off as a political thing, and it's still very much political. Yeah. That's the only reason, because there are things about COVID that people are protesting about that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, the military, for one thing. If you've known people in the military, it's almost like when you're in the military, you are a guinea pig. Yes. Military people have been getting things that nobody else got. All of a sudden now, everybody's getting COVID vaccines, and they're like, I don't want to take this vaccine. Like, dude, you're in the military. Really?
Exactly. To go overseas, there's a whole panel of shots and whatnot that you have to get before you can go to another country to do whatever. And that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
So honestly, that's another thing. There's a lot of things that I am just over it now. So, I'm over the parents who are like, oh no, I don't want my kid, swabbed. And, in the summertime, we would just kind of appease people. And if because we didn't want to turn any kid away. It's not the
Mhm.
kid's fault that the parent is stuck on stupid.
Right.
Okay. So what we would do is if a parent refused, we would just go to the car to see the kid. But
Oh.
now, where it's cold here. And so I literally had to, very strongly tell my staff that there was no way I was going outside in this weather to see anybody's child because, they said, well, this mom, she doesn't want her kid to be swabbed. So is there, would you see her at the curb? So I can't even tell you on your podcast what I said. But they all got the hint that, oh, we understand now exactly how you feel about that. Yes, you
Right.
do. You need to even ask me again, because I'm just like, and that was one of the things where I'm like, I'm just over it. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. You know what? If you're that concerned about your child, that you need them to be seen, but you just don't want them to have a swab. And it's not like we're doing the swab where you don't even have to go that far up the nose.
Oh, I like that because the other
So,
one
yes,
is
we
like they're
used to
scratching
do
on
the
your
other one
brain.
with, yeah, we were doing the brain swab. And recently, because we were becoming so overwhelmed, it was easier and quicker to do the other one. And we
Right.
found that, it's actually just about as accurate for our population. So, we started to do that. And I'm like, if you've ever cleaned your child's nose out, it's probably the same as doing the swab. But,
Right.
so that's why I'm just like, okay, there's some things at this point I'm just over. I have no more tolerance. I'm just done.
So now, do you have any tips for any like what you would tell a minority female who is kind of sort of considering going into the medical field?
Right. So what I would say is to find another minority physician, of your ethnicity, and talk to them about what's required. And a lot of times, because I've had people come to me and ask questions, and I know other physicians. I mean, there are people who actually specialize in helping people get ready for medical school or helping people to,
Oh.
apply. So just reach out to somebody because things have changed. Like it's been a while since I've been in school. So I tend to refer to other people who are
Hmm.
closer to it because I know that some things have changed. So, but it's really important to make sure that you figure out what you need to do right now. And there are kind of steps that you can take. There are things that you can do that will help you along that path. And there are people that can help you. And usually, we're willing to talk to you, and we're willing to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Okay, so we're not trying to sugarcoat it. We're not trying to tell everybody you need to be a physician, even though we are needed. But we also realize that depending on why you want to do it, there may be other things that you can do too. So, we I think most people are really honest with you too. So it's important. Just search out a female doctor. And if there's anybody listening to this and you don't know anybody, you can contact me and I will, put you in touch with somebody, because we've done that too, where, depending on where you live, like someone may say, hey, I'm looking for somebody in this area who can mentor this person. And so we'll kind of put it out there, and usually somebody in that area will step up to help somebody out. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, having said that, how can people contact you?
So I can be found across social media, all social media, at Pam Middleton, MD. So
Okay.
Pam
That's easy
Middleton,
enough.
MD. Right. Well, can I say one thing to your guest, since you said the Pam?
Sure.
What I would say is, you know, listen to your physician, listen to medical people. There are a lot of people out here who have, their Facebook degrees or their Google degrees. But remember that when you get sick, do you end up talking to those people? No, you end up in somebody's hospital are in somebody's medical office. So that's who you need to be listening to right now,
That's right.
especially right now, because people are out there saying all kinds of crazy things that are literally getting people killed, and especially in the African American community. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
y'all, I'm serious. We are dying disproportionately. We are still dying. So don't don't get it don't get it mixed up. You need to make sure that you are getting your information from credible sources, like physicians, real physicians. Okay. Thank you. That's my PSA for today.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it. The PSA is spot on.